What if I told you that the mulch you're spreading across your garden beds, the thing you're doing to protect your plants, is actually building a five-star hotel for the very pests you're trying to keep out? You're not just making a small mistake. You're handing slugs, termites, and ants a warm bed, a free meal, and a front door key every single season. And the worst part, the more carefully you mulch, the worse the problem gets. Today, I'm revealing 7 mulching mistakes that are silently inviting pests straight into your garden beds without you realizing it. Mistake number 6 will shock you because it's something gardeners brag about doing. And mistake number 7, scientists have actually studied it. The data is alarming. Stay with me because by the end, you will never look at your garden beds the same way again. Here is the truth nobody tells you. Mulch doesn't cause pests, but it can attract and shelter them because pests are actively looking for dark, warm, and damp places to hide, and your mulch gives them exactly that. That's the real problem. You're not gardening badly, you're accidentally making your garden too comfortable. Every mistake on this list does the same thing. It gives pests exactly what they need: moisture, darkness, food, and shelter, all in one place. This is what I call the comfort trap. You think you're caring for your plants, but you're actually rolling out a welcome mat for everything that wants to destroy them. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Alright, let's get into it. Stop buying black mulch. I know it looks rich. I know it makes your garden beds pop, but you are literally signaling pests to come closer, and science backs that up. A 2000 study by the University of Tennessee found that black mulch attracted significantly more insects around tomato crops compared to silver reflective mulch. Findings from the University of Florida also reported that silver, yellow, and orange mulches were most effective at keeping bugs at bay. Here is why: dark-colored mulch absorbs heat. It stays warm. It holds moisture longer underneath. And that warm, damp layer is exactly what aphids, thrips, ants, and stink bugs are searching for. You built them a heated apartment and you paid for it yourself. That's an entire season of vegetable growth, easily $40 to $80 worth of produce, handed straight to pests because of a color choice made at the garden store. The fix is simple. Switch to silver, yellow, or orange reflective mulch around your vegetable beds. The reflection actually confuses and deters insects, protecting your plants instead of attracting everything that wants to eat them. Picture this: you spend all spring building your raised beds, planting your seedlings, and hauling fresh wood chips from the hardware store to give your garden a clean, professional look. You step back, feel proud, and walk inside. Then overnight, the slugs move in. The culprit? Those brand new wood chips sitting right against your plants. Here is the problem. Fresh, store-bought wood mulch is only beginning to decompose, and that half-rotted state is exactly what attracts slugs, because a slug's role in nature is to clean up decomposing organic matter by eating holes through it. You didn't mulch your garden, you set a dinner table. One slug infestation can wipe out an entire bed of lettuce, basil, or seedlings overnight. That's 8 to 10 weeks of growing work gone, easily $30 worth of transplants destroyed in 24 hours. The fix: only use well-rotted, fully decomposed organic matter as mulch, 2 to 4 inches deep. If using wood chips, let them rot for 6 months to a year before applying them to any garden bed. I will admit, I did this for 2 full seasons before I realized it was silently turning my garden beds into a pest colony. Every spring, I dumped a fresh bag of mulch right on top of the old layer. Looked great, felt productive. But underneath, the old mulch had packed into a dense, damp mat, dark, warm, completely undisturbed. Common insects including earwigs, ants, millipedes, sowbugs, and cockroaches burrow into compacted mulch because it gives them shelter, moisture, and protection all at once. Brandon Runyon, entomologist at SWAT Pest Management, says it clearly: when a homeowner keeps piling new mulch on top of old mulch, they are just creating a great environment for pest activity. The decaying mulch provides a habitat, a food source, and moisture. 2 seasons of untouched mulch means 2 years of pest infrastructure inside your beds. That is $50 or more in damaged plants gone. The fix has 2 steps. First, remove the old compacted layer completely before adding anything new. Then going forward, turn your mulch regularly by gently raking it. This breaks up the layers where pests nest and ensures oxygen gets back down to the soil. Do both, every season. Real quick, before we get into the next 4 mistakes, I want to ask you something. Which one of these has you rethinking your garden beds right now? The mulch color, the fresh wood chips, or the fact that you have never removed your old mulch? Drop it in the comments below. Just say 1, 2, or 3. I read every single one. And if you have a friend who mulches every spring thinking they are doing everything right, send this video to them right now. You might save their entire growing season. Okay, 4 more mistakes to go, and they get worse from here. It starts with just one bale of hay from the farm store. But within 4 weeks, it turns into a full-blown weed invasion, and behind every weed invasion comes every pest that feeds on it. Here is what most gardeners never find out. Hay and straw look almost identical, but they are completely different. Hay is cut from grasses and legumes grown as animal feed, and most hayfields are full of weeds. Unlike straw, hay contains seeds, and those seeds germinate the moment they hit your garden soil. A University of Nebraska-Lincoln greenhouse study confirmed there is a high likelihood of weed introduction when using hay-based mulch materials. Those weeds become food and shelter for aphids, caterpillars, and whiteflies. You paid for mulch and accidentally bought a pest buffet. That is 6 to 8 weeks of growing work lost, easily $25 to $50 in plant damage. The safer choice is straw. It has far fewer seeds than hay. But a University of Nebraska-Lincoln study found that even some straw mulches can carry weed seeds. So when you buy straw, look for certified weed-free straw at your garden center. It costs a little more, but it is worth it. Take a close look at your shadiest garden beds right now, the ones tucked under trees, pressed against fences, sitting in the dark all day. If those beds are mulched, you may have just built a tick breeding ground inches from where you and your family walk every single day. Here is the science. Ticks prefer damp, shaded environments. Mulch in low-light areas stays moist for longer, never fully drying out between waterings or rain. That constant cool dampness is precisely the microclimate ticks need to survive. Fleas and ticks both live in moist, shady areas including mulch and leaf litter, and ticks can carry Lyme disease, Rocky Mountain spotted fever, anaplasmosis, and ehrlichiosis. You are not just risking your plants, you are risking your health. Studies show the average Lyme disease patient spends around $1,200 to $3,000 in treatment costs, and cases caught late can reach $30,000 or more. The fix is this: trim overhanging branches above shaded beds to let sunlight in, because ticks cannot survive in dry, sunny conditions. I will also admit this, I did this for an entire spring before I understood what I was actually doing to my garden beds. Every April, I would spread a fresh layer of mulch right over whatever was already growing. It looked clean, it felt like progress. But 2 weeks later, the weeds were back, pushing straight through, bigger and stronger than before. Here is exactly why. Mulching over existing weeds will not kill them, it only makes them stronger. Every benefit mulch gives your flowers, moisture, warmth, nutrients, it gives to those weeds too. They will simply re-emerge through the mulch, even when applied thickly. And surviving weeds are not just ugly. They become the food source and shelter that pulls aphids, whiteflies, and caterpillars directly into your beds. You didn't smother the pest habitat, you fed it. That is an entire season of mulch, $30 to $60 worth, completely wasted, plus the plant damage that follows. The fix takes 10 minutes. Pull perennial weeds out fully by the root before laying any mulch. Applying mulch over active weeds just hides the problem temporarily and makes everything worse underneath. Stop laying landscape fabric under your mulch. I know every gardening store sells it. I know it looks professional, but you are not blocking pests, you are sealing them in. Here is what actually happens beneath that fabric. Inorganic mulch systems separated from the soil by landscape fabric still attract millipedes, centipedes, spiders, sow-bugs, earwigs, ants, and cockroaches because the layer between the fabric and the soil becomes permanently dark, damp, and completely undisturbed. No predators can reach pests. No sunlight dries them out. You built them a bunker. It gets worse. Without proper decomposition, mulch sitting on top of landscape fabric gets moldy and becomes home to mice and other small rodents, while the soil underneath turns bone dry and compacted, starving your plants of water and nutrients. That is $40 to $80 spent on fabric and mulch, actively working against your garden and for the pests living underneath it. The fix is simple. Skip the landscape fabric entirely in garden beds with living plants. Bare soil plus quality mulch applied at 2 to 3 inches creates a healthier, weed-resistant bed without handing pests a sealed hiding place. Let me show you exactly what this looks like side by side. Everything on this list felt like good gardening. That is the whole problem. You thought black mulch made your beds look rich. What you actually did was signal insects from across the yard to come closer, backed by university research. You thought fresh wood chips meant natural and healthy. What you actually did was set a dinner table for every slug within crawling distance. You thought dumping new mulch on top of the old layer every spring was helping. What you actually did was build a hidden pest city, dark, warm, and completely protected. You thought that bale of hay was the same as straw. What you actually did was seed your own garden with weeds and invited every pest that feeds on them. You thought mulching your shaded beds was smart. What you actually did was build a tick breeding ground inches from where your family walks. You thought spreading mulch over existing weeds would smother them. What you actually did was feed them and every pest hiding inside them. You thought landscape fabric was the professional move. What you actually did was seal pests underneath with 0 predators, 0 sunlight, and 0 way out. Every single mistake follows the same pattern. It looked like care, it was the comfort trap. Here is a secret technique I have never seen in any gardening book. It is not about what mulch you use in the middle of your beds, it is about what you place around the outside edge. It is called the Cedar Perimeter Method. Instead of mulching your entire bed with regular wood chips and hopping pests stay away, you lay a 12-inch wide ring of cedar mulch around the outer border of every single bed. That is the only change. Here is why it works. Cedar contains natural oils and compounds, particularly thujin and cedrol, that are toxic to many insects. Note, the oils fade as cedar weathers, so refresh your cedar border every 1 to 2 years to keep it working. Studies from the University of Florida and Cornell University show that cedar mulch is significantly less attractive to termites than other wood-based mulches. Cedar's natural oils act as a passive perimeter barrier. The scent and compounds actively deter ants, roaches, and crawling insects from entering your beds. Keep your regular aged mulch at 2 to 3 inches deep in the center where your plants are. Cedar goes around the outside edge only. Pests have to cross that cedar border to reach your plants. Most will not bother. One bag, one border, your mulch stops inviting pests and starts blocking them. So there you have it. 7 mulching mistakes that were silently building a pest paradise right inside your garden beds, and every single one felt like the right thing to do. The black mulch, the fresh wood chips, the untouched mat underneath, the hay you thought was straw, the shaded beds you never connected to ticks, the weeds you mulched right over, and the landscape fabric you paid good money for that was locking pests in the whole time. Now you know the difference? Fix even one of these this weekend and your garden will already be harder for pests to invade than 90% of the beds on your street. But protecting the surface of your garden is only half the battle. If you want to know what is happening underneath the mulch, I have put together a complete guide breaking down 37 hidden mistakes that are actively killing your soil, along with the exact prevention tips and fixes for each one. You can grab that guide right now using the link in the description of this video or my bio. If this video changed how you think about mulching, hit subscribe. I put out videos like this to help your garden. No fluff, no obvious tips, just the stuff that actually moves the needle in your garden. Drop a comment below telling me which mistake shocked you the most. I genuinely want to know. I'll see you in the next one.